So I want to begin by asking you about sort of collaborating on the script with Zal and kind of coming up with the initial idea for the film, because it's a very unique idea for a movie.
Yeah, Zal and I have been writing for a long time together, and I think it takes a long time to learn to write. It takes an even longer time to learn to write with someone else, because you sort of have to get to know how the other person works. But by the time we were writing Sound of My Voice, we'd really streamlined the process, and we just come in every day and share ideas with each other, really. Like, we set up a 4-hour block, and we're like, this is our working time, and tell each other dreams we've had and what happened during the day and the person who just broke our heart and like what did we overhear in the line at the grocery store, and somehow all that stuff just starts to it's like a hurricane, you know, and then eventually you find that like the eye of that storm. And in this story, I think it was, you know, Peter in the basement and this feeling of like a boy detective, you know, descending the basement stairs and trying to unravel this secret world, and we sort of just became obsessed with that idea.
Was that what came first, sort of that idea of, like you said, Peter kind of unsolving this mystery, or did you know that you wanted to sort of put in this cult aspect, or?
Well, we knew we had this feeling of like having to go through all this like rigmarole to get somewhere, and this idea of a secret place within the valley, and like you've got to scrub yourself to get there and wear a hospital gown, and you're ferried blindfolded through the night and you don't know where it is, you know. All of that seemed interesting. Then it was like, okay, what kind of secret could a group be protecting in a basement? And that's when it sort of arrived around the idea of a time traveler, but a time traveler in like a practical sense. Like, what if somebody in the valley right now is like from the future? Like, where would they be? What would they be doing? And the story was sort of born out of that.
Yeah, because it obviously has these sort of sci-fi elements, but it's done in a very grounded, sort of realistic way. Was that sort of the inspiration? Was that the intent?
Yeah, I think the feeling is like, I mean, sci-fi is often really about spectacle, and it's big and daydreamy, and you leave the theater and you're filled with this like sense of awe, and that's beautiful. Like I love that kind of storytelling. I think Zal does, and I know Zal does too, but this was sort of like, well, what if you take all those sci-fi ideas, but you embed them in a reality and you make it feel real? Isn't there something about that that's even more awe-inspiring?
Right.
That the possibility for magic could exist in this like room with the microphones and the lights and the, you know, like what if there's magic in here? That's sort of the idea, I guess.
Yeah. Tell me about creating Maggie as an actress, sort of creating that character and embodying that role.
That was hard. For a long time in the script, it's like, because we really came up with the Peter thrust of things first, it was like, well, what is it? What is this woman like? Like, what is a cult leader like? And there was really a placeholder there for a long time. And then I think when we came to the paradox of this girl who is in like one breath ethereal and in the next breath just like incredibly ordinary, and is she a charlatan and or a con artist, or is she really who she says she is? Does she have access to secrets from the future? And that split sort of helped us like find who she was, and that comes, I think, in her relationship with Peter. It's like in one moment she's being motherly and tender, and in the next moment she's like viciously tearing him apart. And I think that duality sort of helped us.
Did you decide that for yourself in playing the character? Did you decide whether she's for real or not for real?
I mean, I remember, because Zal and I write very intensely together, and then we break, you know, and he directs and I act, and like there's a really strict line in the sand there, and we sort of, you know, don't talk for a while while we're doing those roles because they're really on our own. And I guess in that time period, I looked over all that we had written, and I felt like, okay, I felt like Maggie's like a dodecahedron. Like, she's got all these different faces, and in order to keep her cult entertained, she just keeps throwing up a different face. And sometimes she's vicious, and sometimes she's kind, and she's mercurial. She keeps changing. And so I would look at the scenes and be like, okay, here, this is maybe where she's coming at it with tenderness, and here's maybe where she's like got her, you know, dagger out and is ready to like cut someone at the ankles. And that's sort of how I guess it came.